What I'm about to say may be a bit controversial to y'all. Some of you might even think I'm crazy.
What?
And I bet I'm gonna get a lot of comments down below about how silly and stupid this topic is even. None of that really matters to me though. And I'm sure, once you've finished watching this video, I'll have you convinced that the Golden State Warriors will upset the Phoenix Suns if they meet in the first round of the 2021 playoffs. Before I can really dive into this whole idea though, I need to give a pretext of where everything stands. Yes, I know. The Phoenix Suns are currently first in the league. They're 46-18 and are sitting first not only in the West, but in the entire league. They're now on top of the Utah Jazz because they hold the tiebreaker. They're on top of the Clippers, the Lakers, the Nets, the 76ers, and the Bucks. The Phoenix Suns are standing tall with their head up high. So why in my crazy mind would I say they would get upset by the Golden State Warriors, who are sitting in ninth and fighting hard to stay even relevant? To add more gas to this fire, in their 2 meetings so far, not only did the Phoenix Suns beat the Warriors, but they blew them away in both games by over 20 points. To make matters even worse, the Warriors have lost key players like James Wiseman, and I've heard reports that even Kelly Oubre might be out for the rest of the season, and Eric Pascal couldn't even walk a little while ago from that hip injury. And this leads me to my first point in why the Warriors will beat the Suns. Do you know what James Wiseman, Kelly Oubre, and Eric Pascal all have in common? Answer: they are not Stephen Curry. In the playoff series between the Suns and the Warriors, Dub Nation's going to have the best player on the floor. Steph Curry, although he's not quite in the GOAT conversation with MJ or LeBron quite yet, is arguably the greatest weapon that the NBA has ever seen. Stephen Curry has time and time again defied what is possible, set new historical records, then he even broke those records. This is a man who's capable of scoring 20 points in a quarter on any given night and just absolutely suck the life out of any opponent. Man, look what he did to Damian Lillard close to the beginning of the season when he dropped 62. Look what he did against the Lakers before their injuries. And also, look what he did against the Denver Nuggets, who have the front runner for the MVP in Nikola Jokic, when he dropped 53 points on the 12th of April. Stephen Curry is a one-man wrecking crew, and he's wearing a Golden State Warriors uniform. He's going to be playing about 40 minutes per night in the playoffs, and judging from what we've seen of him so far this season, he's going to be playing unanimous MVP basketball for 40 minutes a night against this Phoenix Suns team. If the Phoenix Suns thought Arizona was hot, wait until Steph Curry ignites his flamethrower against them, game after game after game. Speaking of flamethrower, in addition to Steph Curry, we all know the Warriors are going to have the best defensive shield as well between the two teams. We're talking about Draymond. I am the best defender in NBA history. Green. While that self-proclaimed statement is highly arguable, there's no doubt that Draymond Green is going to be the best defender in this playoff series between the Warriors and the Suns. He can guard 1 through 5, get his teammates in defensive positions, and despite his thousands of technical fouls, he brings up the energy on the defensive end, which also leads to offense for the Warriors. The Warriors are going to have the best offensive and defensive player in the series. But if that's true, how'd they get blown out in those 2 games they played earlier this season, you might ask? Well, that first game was a bit of an anomaly. First off, Steph was coming back from taking a year off, and Draymond Green was getting into shape because, due to COVID protocols, he missed training camp. Second of all, I'm not sure if you all remember, but Kelly Oubre had that horrible start to the season, and in that game, Oubre was 1 from 11 from the floor, and James Wiseman, coming straight out of high school, was 2 for 9 in that game. In that second game they played together, well, Steph Curry and Draymond Green were both not playing in that game, so nothing else needs to be said about that. You still might be saying at this point that still, despite everything I said, the Phoenix Suns are still the much better team. I mean, they shoot a higher percentage from the field, 48.9 to the Warriors' 46.5. The Suns also protect the ball better and only turn it over 12.9 times per game to the Warriors' 15. When it comes to personal fouls, the Suns foul 19.1 times per game on average. The Warriors, 21.3. Also, if you said the Warriors' offense goes completely stagnant when Steph goes to the bench, you're probably right. You can even argue that CP3 is a better closer than Steph, and judging from what I've seen this regular season, you're probably right too. On top of all this, when you look past the team's top 3 players, the Suns have a far deeper team, and they look pretty unstoppable this regular season. This actually segues perfectly into my next point, and that is regular season. Regular season, regular season, regular season. The Phoenix Suns have done an incredible job this regular season, but do they have any playoff experience, and does it matter? Well, let's take a look into what General Manager Bob Myers has to say on this subject.
The playoffs are nothing like the regular season. They are 2 completely different sports.
The Phoenix Suns' top 2 young players in Devin Booker and Deandre Ayton have 0 playoff experience. If you add in another one of their young gunners, in Mikal Bridges, he also has 0 playoff experience. Their best player, in Chris Paul, who'll be 36 when the playoffs start, has never tasted what a finals game is like, and has a history of first-round exits. Their head coach, Monty Williams, in his 6 seasons as a head coach, has missed the playoffs 4 times, and in the 2 times he has reached the postseason, his team was eliminated in the first round. The Golden State Warriors, on the other hand, from 2015 to 2019, for 5 years straight, had went straight to the finals, and have won 3 of them. Steve Kerr, as a coach and a player, has more playoff experience than the whole Phoenix Suns team. And then there's Steph Curry and Draymond Green. Aside from LeBron James, these 2 have some of the most extensive playoff experience out of all active NBA players. I looked into this even further, and on Reddit, there was this dude who went deep into the correlation between playoff experience and winning. It gets a little in-depth, but through his analysis and research by the numbers, there is a significant correlation between the amount of playoff experience the teams have and the ability to win playoff games. He concluded that playoff experience is not overvalued in the slightest. Have I convinced you yet? I seem to have convinced myself again that the Warriors are going to upset this Suns team. If I haven't convinced you, I got one more point to finish the job before I take my beer break, and that is, I just kind of think this Suns team is a pretender. I'll start off here with the face of the franchise, Devin Booker. The guy can get buckets, is talented, and competitive. I get all that. But in 2018, at the end of the season, when the Suns missed the playoffs, this is what he said.
I'm done with not making the playoffs, but I'm serious. It's probably my last year ever not making the playoffs.
Well, the following year, in 2019, not only did Devin Booker fail to get the Suns into the playoffs, but he managed to get his team dead last in the Western Conference. Not only were they the 15th seed in 2019, but there was a 14-game spread between the 15th seed and the 14th seed. Wow! The following year, in 2020, Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns again dug themselves so far into the hole that not even a perfect record in the bubble was enough to get them into the playoffs. So that's 2 years that he missed the playoffs after he said he was done not making the playoffs. It's kind of safe to say as well that if 36-year-old 6-foot point guard Chris Paul didn't join the Phoenix Suns in this offseason, perhaps they would have missed the playoffs again this year. Now let's move on to the Suns' second franchise player, Deandre Ayton. Ayton has a ton of talent, and if he becomes a true professional, he can do some serious damage in the league. But that begs the question, can he be a true pro? Last season, he was suspended for 25 games for breaking NBA drug policies. He also missed a COVID test last season in the Orlando bubble and put his team in a real bad position at one point. This is supposed to be your second best player, and Booker is supposed to be option number 1. But instead, a 36-year-old Chris Paul is your best player? And 6 of the 12 times he's entered the postseason, he's been eliminated in the first round? You know something, guys? Upsets are nothing new in the NBA, or in sports in general. I mean, in 2011, the number 1 seeded Spurs were upset by the Memphis Grizzlies. In 2012, the Philadelphia 76ers upset the Chicago Bulls. And who can ever forget in 2007 when the 8-seeded Golden State Warriors upset a powerhouse juggernaut 67-win Mavericks team who also had the league MVP in Dirk Nowitzki. This year's Phoenix Suns, with Booker, Ayton, and a 36-year-old CP3, are going to go up against another potential 8-seeded Warriors team, who's going to have their roster a potential top 10 player of all time, a player who revolutionized the sport of basketball, a player so skilled that opposing teams need to double and triple team him in the regular season, in the first quarter, on a Tuesday night. I don't know about you guys, But let me tell you something about myself. I never doubt greatness. Hashtag Dub Nation, let's go get it. Hashtag I need a beer. Thanks as always, guys. Peace.